gentlemen, good evening. What's going on? Here in the sports office, the Bills had their first Zoom meeting of the year as it is for 2021, after their second, or before and after their second day of OTAs. And unsurprisingly, vaccines were a big topic today. Unsurprisingly, because look, and I talked about this a little bit on Twitter, one of the reasons that this became a big thing today, there ain't anything else to talk about. I mean, do you really want to hear about how Josh Allen threw routes on air to Gabe? All right, well, Josh Allen you do want to hear. But do you really want to hear how Cody Ford looked in a red jersey, or, what Zach Moss was doing, taking handoffs? Look, there's no games for 4 months. There's no preseason games for 3 months. So, look, there's not a whole lot going on right now. So we're going to land on the vaccine. But in addition to that, of course, Josh Allen had the podcast with Kyle Brandt, where he made comments that made some waves. Brandon Beane had comments on One Bills Drive a few weeks ago that also were picked up nationally. So, the vaccine is an issue that was going to be brought up today. And I tell you what, I thought Sean McDermott and Josh Allen, who of course are going to be the primary figures in any discussion like this, I thought in general they handled themselves fairly well, especially McDermott. I thought McDermott did a really good job of putting almost his foot down a little bit and saying, I believe in this. I think getting a vaccine is important. But, he didn't go so far as to say, something to the extent of, not that I think he thinks this, to the extent of, I think these idiots need to get on board and get vaccinated. He left it with, I like the fact that he said, we don't want to convince. We want to educate. We want to lay out the information and let these guys make their own decision. Now, McDermott didn't go so far to say this, but you can tell the decision he wants everyone to make is to get vaccinated. And, one of the things to keep in mind with this, when we talk about the player versus the coaches, the main reason the Bills, as in terms of the front office, want vaccinations to be accepted by the players is so meetings and day-to-day operations can run easier. Well, for the most part, and not entirely, but I think Sean McDermott, as the head coach, the guy who pretty much organizes and runs all of the meetings, no one in that building is going to be more interested in making the meetings run easier than the head coach. Each individual player, less motivated, because they don't go to all the meetings. Now, they go to a lot. If you're Josh Allen, you go to the quarterback meeting, the offensive meeting, and the full team meeting. As the captain and the quarterback, you probably have a few more than that. So it's not like Josh Allen has no motivation. But I think that when it comes to meetings and operations, McDermott's in charge of the whole thing. Of course, he's the guy that wants the vaccinations to happen most of all. And Josh Allen, on the other hand, now, Allen didn't really talk about it. He kind of, I don't want to say he bailed on the issue, but he didn't. He just kind of pushed it to the side and said, we're going to figure it out. I accept what anybody wants to decide, and I'll leave it at that. And that's fine. It's not, the most eloquent thing in the world, but he didn't have to say that. He said what he had to say, and I thought Josh Allen did fine today. The concern I have coming out of this is that the Bills have always been, together in everything, in lockstep in all, we all do our 111th. I mean, the McDermott phrases that roll off the tip of the tongue of these guys is incessant and never ending, which I think both those words mean the same thing. And the fact that in this case, we have Sean McDermott who's saying, I'm vaccinated, Brandon Beane's vaccinated, the Pegulas are vaccinated, and he also said, I'm concerned about whether or not this is going to be a divisive issue for my locker room, and whether or not we're going to be able to get to the point where we can go back to normal, where we don't have to wear masks. He used the word concern on his own. And you got Josh Allen, on the other hand, saying, what, if we still have to wear masks, then that's how it goes. Everybody's going to make their own decision, and we're going to accept that. Neither answer is wrong. You can live both ways. But the fact that McDermott wants to zig, while Josh Allen seems to be okay if the team decides to zag, I think is a bit of a concern. Now, let's be fair. Concern on May the 25th is like this. I mean, there's no issue going on right now that's of any real concern. But it was curious at least, and concerning at worst, that you've got the coach and the quarterback are not together on this. And at some point, they're obviously going to have to get to here, or, it could be an issue that could be a problematic into the season. And again, we're 3.5 months away from that, so no big deal. But for today, it was at least surprising that the Bills, that we've all known as, being team culture, went this route when it came to vaccinations, and really maybe underscores just how, divisive and controversial and much of a problem this issue has been nationwide. So I'll take some questions on that. And Corey, I'll get to that too. That's a good question you got there. The other thing I wanted to hit on was Bills training camp. And Sean McDermott said that camp at Fisher is still a possibility. But he said that it would likely be a heavy lift. Now just keep in mind, last summer, the Bills spent the whole summer getting their home facility COVID ready, figuring out how to space everyone out, how to clean everything, how to keep germs and COVID out. It's not a small undertaking. To do that at Fisher, they're almost starting from scratch. Now, McDermott said today that they're operating at about 60 to 70% normal. So they're getting back to what normal used to be. So it probably wouldn't be that bad at Fisher. But again, it's a whole lot of stuff that would have to be done. And it's not just about the team. Remember last year with what I just talked about, what the Bills did last summer, that was just the team and the staff. At Fisher, it'd be the team, the staff, and the fans that the NFL approved today can go back to training camp. So I know the Bills want to go, and Sean McDermott said as much today. He likes going away to camp. But, my read between the lines reaction is that I don't think camp at Fisher is going to happen this year. It just seems like too much of an undertaking, too much of a headache for it to be worth it to the Bills. And when McDermott uses terms like, yeah, we're sending staffers there and we're investigating, but we're doing our due diligence. Anytime you hear an NFL player, coach, or GM say due diligence about something, that something's probably never going to happen. And McDermott today said the Bills are doing their due diligence about going to Fisher. Not impossible. Like I've said 1,000 times, with COVID, the one rule of thumb is that there is no rule of thumb. That things can change on a weekly, monthly, or even daily basis. So we may get to the first week of June, and all of a sudden, all the Bills are vaccinated. The world is advanced a little further vaccination-wise, and maybe going to Fisher isn't that big a deal, and all of a sudden the Bills are going. But my read today was pretty clear that when it comes to Fisher, the Bills probably are not going to be there. And by probably, I mean almost certainly likely. All right, what do you guys got for me? Corey, are they looking at 100% capacity for the home opener? That was another announcement by the NFL today. The league announced that 30 of 32 teams, 28 of 30 buildings, remember the two New York and LA teams both share stadiums right now, are set to go to have 100% capacity. The only two that are not fully ready are Indianapolis and Denver. So obviously that means the Bills are set to go. So at this point, expect a full stadium for Bills Steelers Week 1, September the 12th or 13th, 12th, I think it is. So Corey, to answer your question, yes, full stadium is the expectation. Again, with COVID, things may change, but the direction we're heading, and I've been saying this for weeks, I think, and the league announced today, that they are expecting, planning, whatever you want to say, full capacity at every stadium for Week 1, except Denver and Indy. And they even said today that they're pretty confident those two will get there soon. Greg Smith, Daryl Johnson and Taron Johnson next to each other, are they naturally immune to COVID? Greg Smith, one of your more genius questions, and you do have good ones, by the way. I'm not a doctor, I can't answer that. I know that you would not confuse them because those two guys might be the tallest and shortest players on the team. All right. I appreciate you checking in, Greg Smith. We'll let this one go. I'll excuse you tonight. But more Bills to come for sure. But I appreciate you guys watching tonight. Oh, David Lacrosse. I'll give you it one more time. They're not contracting COVID on the field. It's being contracted off the field. Yeah. I mean, that is the concern. And again, David, you talk about off the field issues. This is why getting vaccinated and allowing the Bills to have meetings like normal so they don't worry about contracting COVID off the field, that's why it's a big deal. Wow, Corey Tessier, Yankees. Well, hey, different topic, but I'll answer this since you got it in. Yankees Blue Jays were sold out. Now, I know more tickets are going on sale Thursday because they just announced yesterday that at Salem Field, they can have expanded capacity starting with that series. So more Yankee Blue Jay tickets, last I heard, were going on sale Thursday. All right, guys, I appreciate everybody checking in. I got to go back to work. I will talk to you again soon.